Well, hello, Badger fam, and welcome back to the Gritty Glitter Badger podcast. It's Krista, your host, also your midlife women's strength and longevity coach and mindset coach, founder of Gritty Glitter Badger and Gritty Glitter Badger Fitness. And today's episode literally drops on my birthday, November 20th, right? And so because of that, I wanted to do like a special episode. I didn't want to do, I don't know, like the norm, like I typically do. And, I wanted to celebrate 53, 50, 53. And it's weird in my video, it should probably be like the other hand, like 53 laps around the sun with gratitude fueled zero BS reflection on, my time, strength, and, just generally what, my reflection on these 53 summers and what they have taught me about building a life that has teeth, right? That has grit. And, so just consider this your invitation to my party to celebrate your own laps with me through iron breath, brave little choices that stack into legacy, right? So don't even worry. Don't even, worry about the RSVP. Just you're here now. And so let's get this party started. So I want to talk about the math of a life, right? The meaning of a morning. So on, today, November 20th, 2025, at 7:30 p.m., I officially turn 23, right? That's 53 birthdays and 53 summers. And I say summers because you know me, and if you have been around for a long time, you know that summer is my absolute jam in every freaking way possible, right? It is a whole vibe to me. It is my favorite season. It is all things to me, right? It's the essence of my effervescent personality and vibe and energy and everything, right? But I've had the privilege to live them, right? And that's also roughly the equivalent of 19,358 mornings, right? So that would make it 19,358 chances to open my eyes, right? And to decide, who I'm going to be that day, decide the tone of my day. Now, granted, when I was little, obviously, when you're little, you just wake up and you're like, woo, yes, right? But if you like numbers, which I like numbers in a certain context, that would be 464,592 hours, 27,875,520 minutes, and 1,672,531,200 seconds, ignoring, like the leap seconds, leap year, all of those things, right? And also to like the time zones and everything. I'm basing it off of me and where I'm at, right? But all that time, all those minutes and seconds spent building a body, a mind, and a life that actually truly now feel like mine, right? And numbers are so clean, like meaning, that meaning is not so like clear cut and dry, right? Like numbers are just, it's like, okay, here they are, right? But the meaning behind all of that is so much more. And while numbers tell you that I've completed 53 orbits around the fabulous sun, the meaning lives in all of the, maybe it's the quiet, moments where I'm holding the coffee on a chilly morning, or it could be it's like the smell of the metallic plates in the badger den, like, or all the things, right? It could be just laughing at the stupidest shit with my husband. It could be long talks with clients who didn't quite know, who didn't quit when quitting felt easier, or they needed, just a soft nudge, or you know what, even maybe they needed like the badger nudge, like, let's just be honest, right? Or just those moments walking my dogs, or everything from just remembering being a little kid and enjoying all the things, being that 9-year old and professing boldly and loudly and confidently that, you know I want to live to be 132 years old, or I will live to be 132 years old. And now I'm like, you know what? I will be 150 years old. And it's not in like, some weird, like decrepit, non, viable way. It's like, it is going to be the way that I want it to be, right? Declarations of, just owning who I am, all of the messy moments of hating who I was, and, you know, just not liking my body, not liking the way that I look, not liking this, that, the way all the things, right? You know, and the cool thing is here is with all of that is all of these days are the hard days. They they turn into like they've become the massive harvest, right? All the seeds that I didn't even know that I was planting, or whatever they were, have over the years accumulated into this beautiful, bountiful harvest. And maybe that's the core lesson that, I keep meeting and keep thinking about, is like, again, we aren't guaranteed time, right? And when we spend it, we don't get it back, right? We're offered it. And with that offering of time, it's what we do with the offer that becomes our character, how we spend it, right? So, I'm not saying I'm like this person who jumps up in the morning and I'm like, let's go. Because you would think I would be, because of like the high vibe and stuff like that. I am definitely an easy morning kind of person. Like, I wake up slowly, and I've tried to do, the quote unquote influencer wake up and all the things. And for me, it's just, I'm just waking up. And I believe that mornings are the smallest unit of a well-lived life for me, right? And I'm not talking about in the productivity hustle influencer sense, but in the alignment sense, right? Like, a morning holds those first reps of your attention, the first reps of your breath that you're actually aware of, right? It could be the first rep of, who am I today? It could be the first rep of, what's the best that could happen today? It could be the first rep of putting your feet on the floor and saying thank you, right? Some mornings it's like I feel like I'm a metronome, right? And it's that steady, just rhythm. Everything's like, going, right? And then sometimes those mornings, like, I'm like a hurricane, right? Because it's already feels chaotic, but both can come from being a good day if I can be in a mode and remember to do 3 things that are important to me, right? And they don't have to happen in any specific order, but the first one would be like just touching iron, right? It doesn't have to be heavy, just something that reminds me that I am this freaking force. I have this body that has capabilities that are ridiculous. Like, we all have that potentiality, right? We are a force, and we're not just a passenger. So, having that ability from me, like to be able to lift and move iron the way that I do, what a fucking gift. I mean, honestly, that's like having a birthday every fucking day, right? Opening a present every fucking day. Another one is touching stillness. And this could be 30 seconds of, maybe it's just like an unclenched, attention to just awareness and stillness before the world starts pressing thumbs into me. And by that I mean like having to get things done, right? It could be choosing one thing that matters, not 10, not 5, not 2, one, and do that well, and then stack a second if the capacity allows, right? And this is how I feel like it's particularly now in midlife that we can win, right? Not by pretending that we're 19. And that's totally okay. Like, not by shrinking to accommodate anyone's, comfort or whatever box we think that we need to be in, but by building real capacity. Dude, if I had to go back and do 19 all over again, if I had to go back and fucking do high school over again, I'd be like, listen, no, nope. The people are like, boy, if I could go back to, no, no. Like, here's the thing. So, yeah, I see where people come from in that aspect, but like, look, that has shaped who we are at this moment in time now. And all of the shitty experiences and all of the hardships that we've gone through, if we didn't go through those, we wouldn't be where we are. For me, everything unfolds in very specific reasons, right? But again, it's by building real capacity, breath by breath, set by set, morning by morning, all of those step by step. And so 10 things that 53 summers have taught me. And again, it's, basically I'm just trying to really think about the totality of my life. But first of all, this is the biggest one, is consistency beats spectacle any day. So what do I mean by consistency beats spectacle? Okay, and this is something I am learning this right now. So the algorithm is just going to always reward like the flashy thing, like, right? Okay, and I'm coming across this now as I'm learning that during the like holiday season, especially in the fitness space, just in the retail space, generally speaking, branding and stuff like that, that you know the algorithm, social media rewards bigger, in your face brands. So all of us little, mom and pop, if you will, small businesses who we're out there too. We're literally being pushed to the side. So all of these bigger conglomerates can get their show space, their showcase on social media to sell their stuff. So, but it's that isn't always, that doesn't make it mean that the small, like the mom and pops, don't have any validity or space. Actually, I would take that any day, because they're going to know you. It's more personal, it's more connected, right? But in terms of the consistency, your body will always reward consistent. And if you want a strong, pain resilient body at 73, at 83, 93, 103, and so on, plan for it at 53 or before. Don't wait till 53, right? I've been doing this for over 3 decades, but plan for it with boring, not sexy, not glamorous, repeatable, progressive work. Unsexy is undefeated every time. You cannot tell me otherwise. Something else I've learned is strength is a love letter to your future self, right? So every hinge, every squat, every pull, every pull up, every push up, every one is a deposit into your future self bank account, right? Where you carry groceries in one trip, or you can climb the stairs without bargaining with your knees, or say yes to an adventure without googling, will my back hate me? Does it have does it have modifications? Is there a chair thing that's going to assist me? being able to run around with my granddaughter and play at a park or play here or climb a jungle gym, go rucking, go hiking, kayaking, all the things, right? Third, discipline isn't punishment, it's permission. Discipline gives me permission to feel proud later, and it's not harsh, it's just honest. And I don't train to be quote unquote good. I train to be my best, most optimum self. I train for freedom, right? I train for personal excellence. I train because it's fucking badass. I train because I know that if I had to, I could take care of myself. It's being free for all the things on a mountain, in a trail. And I do believe I had actually told this story to somebody else, a guest that I had recently interviewed. Here's another reason why I train, and to not just be good. I was out rucking on a trail, and right now the trails with the leaves all coming off of the trees, and they're very rocky around here. So I'm out and I can't really see the trail, and I hit a rock, I step on it, and my right ankle bends like out, right externally. Then I'm literally like, as it's bending, my body is going forward, and my left foot steps on another rock and it tumbles externally forward. And I can't stop myself from falling. The momentum is too much. I literally, and it's a slight, decline, it's a slight hill down. I literally fall and I roll it's it's almost like a perfect James Bond stunt. And the force from the fall was so bad. It literally threw like the bear spray. I carry bear spray that was thrown across. I have a machete hooked in my bag that was thrown across. My phone had been thrown. I have one of my I had an Nalgene bottle that I carry that was thrown from my backpack, right? Literally. And I was like, oh my God, what just happened? Got up, no problems. I had no issues, no injuries, no pain, nothing. And and I kid you not, when I stood up, I literally was like, oh my God, and like, holy body. And I was so thankful and I just was like, this is literally case in point proof of one of the biggest reasons why I am so adamant about fitness, resistance work, strength training, and taking care of your body, because I can only imagine that many people would not have gotten up the way that I got up from that. I mean, I'm telling you, when I literally had nothing, I was totally fine and got my stuff and finished my ruck. No issues the next day, nothing, no pain anywhere. So, it's just, again, it trains, I train like that so that I am free to be able to do this. Sometimes too, like training, it has that that transition, that conversion to mindset. It can help in a tough conversation, or again, being under the barbell, or again, handling unexpected life situations in the middle of fucking nowhere, by the way. Nobody was around. I would have been down. Nobody would have known. Okay. So that just is another huge reason why, right? Something else I've learned is boundaries are kindness with a backbone. In midlife, it clarifies the difference between what's just being nice and being good, right? And a boundary is a promise to protect what makes you good. Not everyone's going to clap, right? You're going to get resistance, and that's okay. I don't train for the applause. I train because it's something that I absolutely love, that it assists me. It's so important for me on my life in the daily. Something else, your nervous system literacy is a superpower. And what I mean by that is regulation is not just about calming down, it's about having range, right? Having a bandwidth and being able to return to center, right? And I built as much capacity in this, for recovery as I do for intensity. So sleep, walks, it could be breath work, right? Learning how to do proper breath work, right? Genuine laughter where I'm literally crying and begging it to stop simultaneously because my side hurts so bad. Time in the sun. This one is so important. I just listened to a podcast about how sunlight deficient so many people are. Oh my God. Um, I could riff on that, but I'm going to keep it going here and move on. So these are like little gifts here. So the sixth gift that for you that I have learned is comparison steals your technique. And I know a lot of people, like I've heard people say that either, comparison has its place, and it absolutely does, but there is a fine line. When you start to compare yourself, like maybe you're staring at someone else's lift or somebody else's life, right? And you forget your own cues, it's time to come back to you, right? Eyes on your form, your tempo, your breath, and your season, what season you're in. That doesn't mean hit the brakes. That just means it's time to recalibrate and check yourself, right? Something else, grief and joy are not opposites. So they are literally roommates, they're the strongest, they're some of the strongest emotions that obviously they are really some of the strongest emotions we have. They're based off of two of the two biggest emotions that we have from the spectrum of fear and the spectrum of love, right? And the strongest people that I know bow to both. And training has taught me to hold the contradictions, right? Soft heart, iron hands. Something else, another gift would be craft over clout, right? Every single time. I'd rather build programs and content that work than content that pops for a week and, maybe it's, some trend and hopping on the trend. And then before you know it, it's gone, right? Results are my marketing, and longevity is my testimonial. Krista Osis, me, all that, the vibe, right? That is my testimony. Food is both fuel and ritual. So there are meals that are like just basically that power a lift, right? And then there's food that, God, it's a whole memory in every freaking bite. And I want to honor both. Like it's, again, eat plenty of protein, plenty of veggies, plants, and carbs. Don't forget your complex carbs, right? And plenty of dinners that become stories and stored good, happy, positive memories. So the body keeps a library. Your body keeps score, but not necessarily a scorecard. And what do I mean by that? So your body is constantly collecting, writing, and keeping, volumes of we did that. Good and bad, right? And it remembers reps of courage. It remembers reps that you walked away from when you knew you could have, right? And I choose to, want to pack more reps of courage and bravery and, oh God, all the uncomfortable moments of doing something, even though I was so scared and doing it, and to just keep writing chapters based off of that. So I want to do micro math that has macro meaning. And when I think about those, okay, it was 19,358 mornings. It's like I picture picture a giant wall calendar, right? With red circles that mean today I tried. All right. Wasn't fucking perfect. Okay. But I tried. I showed up when, it was cold, or I showed up when it was rainy, or I showed up when it was right now. It's showing up every day when it's cold. It's because I do not like the cold weather, right? But again, showing up when it's messy and showing up when it was inconvenient, right? That circle, that's a win, right? And those are the days like I'm proudest of those days, and I'm proudest of the days, and I get more out of the days nobody sees. The training sessions with only, having my, garage radio on, or being in complete silence, and having Scout and Gidget, my dogs, they're my witnesses, right? And then writing drafts that nobody liked until, the 20th pass, or, being the grown woman who, you know, going to bed instead of, I could stay up and I could just, go through my entire day in, like, oh my, everything that didn't go great, right? But instead, finding the highlight reel of all of the great things that went well, and knowing that I survived it and I'm stronger because of it, right? These minutes, these moments, they stack. And what they do is they create a confidence that helps you carry yourself differently, right? They change how you carry yourself, and they change what you tolerate. They change what you allow your bandwidth to take in and be exposed to. And they also help to change what you expect from your future. And if all I did was, with this time, was chase a smaller number on the scale, or a bigger number on the bar, or whatever it is, I'd have missed the whole point, right? The point is relationship with my body, with people, that I love, with the women that I coach, and just all the things, right? All of the things in my environment. And with that part of me that refuses to get small just because it's comfortable, or just because it's going to make people feel better because they're in my light and in my space, it just don't have the bandwidth for that anymore. So here's a secret. This is important and it's getting better, but midlife is not the end of your prime. It's actually the fucking beginning, and it's the refinement of it. You know yourself now, right? And we always say, God, if I only, knowing now at your 50, if I had this attitude, and that's okay. And I think there's a reason why it occurs the way that does. Maybe because it's generational and or for whatever reason, right? But now we know ourselves and we're not guessing. That's leverage. So you understand the difference between pain and effort. And you recognize when you're avoiding something that's meaningful, right? And you also know, like, this is huge. Recovery isn't optional. It's actually your competitive edge. And the other thing is, like, in midlife, we've lived so many seasons that we begin to trust the cycles, right? Build, deload, expand, repeat. And that is life cycles as well. Sometimes it builds up. Sometimes you need the deload in your life. Then your life is expansion, right? And then we repeat it. The bad news with that is nobody can gift you that edge. But the good news is you already earned it. It's there, right? Just by being here, being awake, being alive and breathing and willing to put in the time and the effort and the work, right? So, what am I still learning, right? And what do I intend to keep learning? I will never stop learning. Oh my God, it's so fucking fun, but it's also, it's a sign of growth. So one is to say no faster. This one is, not everything and not everybody deserves an RSVP to my party and deserves a seat at my table. I want elbow room. And yeah, if you don't like elbows on the table, don't come. But I want elbow room for all of the work, all of the things, all of the people that matter. To rest like an athlete and not quit like a critic. So rest is a training day, right? It's not a character flaw. It's taken me a long time to get to that one, but I feel like, I am actually, finally getting there with that one. Another one is choose energetic curiosity over certainty. So there are rooms that you will only find by asking better questions. There's opportunity that you will only find by asking better questions, right? Another one is to hold celebration as a discipline. Celebration isn't a detour, right? It's part of how we metabolize progress. Something else is to keep a beginner's heart. This is huge. This one's big for me, and this is something that I've learned from watching my granddaughter. And on my 53rd lap, I still want to be surprised, excited, lit up, charged by my own capacity because I know I haven't even hit it yet. So if you are listening today and maybe it's your birthday or just any day, right? Here's your quick start ritual. So count your laps, right? Name the number and claim it. Something else is name your proof. So say out loud 3 ways that you've been brave this year. Go to the mirror, look yourself in the eye and do that. Pick one non-negotiable, right? One, just one. It could be a daily micro habit that says, I back myself, right? I have my own back. Another one is choose your next rep. And this is like not waiting until next year, not next decade, not next week. Now, what's your next rep? And this isn't like motivational poster, hoo-ha, brouhaha, whatever it is. This is a training plan of, for a life that you don't and won't have to explain or apologize, right? And you're not too late. Literally, you are exactly right on time. So I've had 53 summers and not one of them owes me anything. And what I mean by that is, obviously for me, summer is the obvious metaphor for me of joy and happiness. It just, to me, sunshine and all of the warmth encapsulates that, right? But it's also a teacher in impermanence because it's like like the Robert Frost poem, nothing gold can stay, right? The sun sets even on the longest day. The season will come to an end before it comes back again. And the weight's going to get racked after, the heaviest pull, but the set ends so that the newest one can begin. Like summer ends so that we can, glide into fall, winter, spring, so that a new summer can begin. And that's how I want to live this year and every year after. I want like full rep, clean rack, grateful step forward, right? No hoarding of anything that, negative energy, none of that, no numbing, just these, living with enough attention that the simplest moments feel like miracles because they are. They are. Just the fact that I'm here and I can do this is miraculous in and of itself. So I just wanted to I literally write out a little love note to everybody in my Badger community. And I want you to know that you have taught me that community it's not a buzzword. It's not this fancy little thing that gets thrown around. Like it's more like being the spotter in a gym, if you know what that is. And when you train with people, and I'm talking mentally, physically, emotionally, who won't let you lie to yourself about your strength, your excuses, your potential, whatever it is, you get better, faster, and kinder, right? And you have, everybody that's been there for my wins and all of my challenged limits and my meltdowns and my head banging against the wall and doubting myself and everything, I intend to keep building spaces online and in the den, where midlife women, anybody, you don't have to be a midlife, right? Can come to get strong, stay smart, and feel fully alive. And if you're new here, consider this your official Badger welcome, So pull up your barbell and bring all the messy you, bring your fire, because we lift all three. All the things, your mental fitness, your physical fitness, emotional fitness. We're lifting all of the things here in this community. So my wish for you in blowing out the metaphorical birthday candles on the birthday cake is that we keep choosing the life that feels true over the one that looks tidy or perfect on social media, or the one that we think everybody wants, right? That we keep honoring our bodies as partners in this together and not just projects to constantly fix and redo and whatever, right? And that we keep doing brave things quietly and letting the results speak loudly. And I don't know, I mean, look, I 100, so to 150 years, how many is that? How many laps is that left around the sun, right? So I do know how I want to spend them. And that is with my hands on, you know, iron, with my heart open. It's like the saying, clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose, my feet moving, my people close, being able to help others, right? It's going to be lived on my terms, healthy, viable, effervescent, and badass, right? So here's to 53, and here's to the next rep and the next rep, and so on. And here's to, just waking up and voting for the person that I'm becoming, all of us, right? And this is something that's interesting too, is when we get that new birthday, it's like I had this thought, I'm not leaving 52 so much as I'm carpooling with her, right? And the same goes for 51-year-old Krista and 37-year-old and 24 and the 9-year-old who professed a bold claim of wanting to be the longest, the oldest living person alive in a viable, like a, healthy capacity, to the feral, badass 15-year-old Krista who discovered a weight room and just, saw deadlifts and things like that for the first time and was like, that is a fucking personality, right? And that's something I needed to be in. I'm not shedding skin so much as stacking guides, right? It's like they're all of me, every single one of me, from 52 down to birth and so on, is they're like my rowdy board of directors who all wear different versions of my face and have very strong opinions and have helped me through and held me up and been there, right? That BFF best friend for totally like ever without exception. I am mine, right? You know, 52 of them that have taught me how to guard my mornings and, that just remind me that I can do hard things. I've done hard things without turning my life into a punishment marathon. 52 of me that have learned how to say no thanks, or prove that I could rebuild from the ashes, that like, and also like just 52 that have helped me learn that I'm not just a song, but I'm a whole fucking soundtrack. I am an entire music collection, right? They're all coming with me because beginning 53, it's not a breakup, right? It's an upgrade install. I am importing the best files from all of my 52 selves: courage, craft, consistency, determination, discipline, badassery, high vibe, joyful, all the things, right? And I'm leaving the corrupted ones in the recycle bin, right? Perfectionism, people pleasing, giving up, quitting, God, even to the really bad haircut in high school that we won't talk about. Actually, no, I had in high school, had long hair, and then I cut my hair short and shaved the side of my head and had a really long rat tail. Anybody in the 80s, 90s? Total punk, literally Johnny Rotten, Sex Pistols, all the things. But anyway, I don't need a brand new one, right? I need a truer me. And the one, it's the me who knows that discipline is freedom, right? Strong glutes are a public service for me and everybody else. And joy counts as recovery. So here's the move. I'm going to let 52 drive when wisdom's needed, but I'm going to let, let's say, 24-year-old DJ, when I need like some cranking jams, and I'm going to let present me, 53-year-old me, set the route, right? And, we can argue about directions and, but the thing is, we're always going to pull over when we find sun, protein, dogs, always dogs. We're always going to stop for dogs. It doesn't matter. So if you see us on the highways, windows down, and, like if I'm in my Jeep and my quads are minting in the heat, right? We are not running from our past. Like you're probably thinking, dude, you are talking about all of you. And yeah, I'm talking about me in third person, right? Because that's how I'm going to roll with it. So, because the most badass thing at 53 isn't a reinvention, it's a reunion. And every version of me just RSVP'd a fuck yeah. So thank you so much if you stuck with me today celebrating my birthday, because I literally, I was all over the place. This was really more like just, I wrote some things down, but it was a lot of just basic stream of consciousness, verbal vomit, me talking. If this episode landed with you, share it with somebody you love. And if you want to give me a birthday gift that costs absolutely nothing, tap those 5 stars, right? And the more reviews I have, the farther the message travels, and the more people, the more midlife athletes, women, life leads, that I can help grow strong and stay free. And also subscribe to the Gritty Glitter Badger podcast, so you never miss a Monday morning quickie. Or I have, Mondays are always like that mindset reflection, and I always have hot badger tips. And then Thursdays are always typically more my deep dive into fitness and mindset topics. And if you want, crave, need weekly strength mindset goodness, grab my free, actually free newsletter at grittyglitterbadger.com. Click the more tab, you'll see subscribers list. Plus, you'll get early access to any fitness program that I have, any courses. You get discounts that nobody else gets. So you definitely don't want to miss out on that. So lift heavy, live honestly, and I will see you next rep.